You should hit the record button because we are currently live.
Hi, middle-aged gamers. Welcome back. Adam is finally here, even though he theoretically shouldn't be, given that he worked pretty much all of the weekend, I would imagine. But we're here. We're back with some more stories. As you know from the last time we did this, or the edited version, edited live show, we're going to be spending more time on our own individual games and stories. But the live show will still be here weekly on Tuesdays, so stay tuned for that. You can watch it later if you miss it, right? It is available on the live tab of the Middle Age Gaming channel, right? youtube.com/MagedGaming. Without further ado, Antoine, what has happened to Football Manager 2025?
Yeah, well, I wanted to start the show with, hey, Village Gamers, I really hope that you enjoyed, Super Bowl yesterday, but today we are not talking about your football, we are talking about my football, the European ones, the ones that you guys call soccer. Well, I call it football, and, the game industry also does it with a Football Manager. So what has happened with Football Manager 25? As you must have seen it this week, it has been cancelled for good reasons by developers sport industry, and today we will explain why. So this game has been pushed twice. Of course, you must have not missed it, from November 24 to March 2025, and has been completely scrapped by now. So it's one of these video game franchise, same as previously FIFA, now FC 24-25. It's one of these games which release absolutely every year. So the fact that they are missing this year is kind of an earthquake in the industry, which is why everybody is talking about it, because I'm pretty sure only Europeans really play about this game, play this game or know about this game. So, sorry, I'm just trying to read my notes because I keep getting scrambles. So it has been releasing entries every year, and so this latest installment was supposed to release a lot of new things. It was supposed to be released first of all on a new engine, which I believe was the Unity engine, and it was supposed to add plenty of new things, such as the female soccer, which is getting bigger and bigger in Europe. Sports Interactive. So what they explained in a statement, they made a very, very actually good and nice statement, that this entry has been cancelled, first of all, in order to focus on the Football Manager 26. They said we could have pressed on releasing FM25 in its current state and fixed things down the line, but that's not the right thing to do. Just this quote out of the whole statement is a jewel in the industry. I mean, like, they could have done it, they could have released it and make a cash grab, because it's one of these games that you're gonna buy anyway, but they decided not to because it's not the right thing to do. I mean, they talked to Sega about it, and really, it's absolutely fantastic for them to do such a thing. So the launch of 25 is supposed to create the biggest technical and visual advancement in the series for a new generation of game, because don't worry, as soon as it starts releasing with a new improvement, you're gonna get kind of this same game updated for the next 10 years, before in 10 years they make a new revolution, which is kind of why this game has been delayed so much and then scrapped. And they want to, with this next game, as I say, they want to lay the block of a new era of football management. So on top of the game development delays, also, and that's just my opinion, so tell me if you think the same or not, but as I said, it's part of this kind of game which release every year, and this year, FC 25, previously, FIFA, got a massive backlash for being the laziest cash grab in the franchise, where they just nearly copy-pasted the previous game and, roll. We just don't have time to do any improvement. So that might also have make them think, if we release the game so late in the season, and if we release it now, we will have to release it without many features. It could have really hurt the franchise. And when it's a franchise which releases every year, they can't really afford to do that, right? So what happens if you pre-ordered Football Manager 25? So don't panic. They confirm that all pre-order purchase will be refunded, which is the right thing to do. It's gonna be automatic from your digital storefronts, like Microsoft or Nintendo eShop. I don't know if it's on Steam, but if it's on Steam, same. It would be repaid automatically. If you bought it from other retailers and they haven't contacted you yet, make sure to contact them because you are entitled to your refund. And if you were wondering that, if I have FM24, will there be any new update or new patch, because we just finished the latest transfer window, the January transfer window. No, it won't be the case. FM24 won't be patched with the latest data. So you really have to wait for FM26. So another reason I think why they didn't want to release it so late is if you're in the North American continent, it doesn't make sense to you because this soccer season starts in April. In Europe, it doesn't. In Europe, you have your transfer window starting in July, finishing end of August. And the season starts mid-August and run until end of May. And end of May is actually quite late because it's usually the end of the cup of each country. So releasing end of March with the season finishing a month and a half away just doesn't make sense. Remember, Football Manager is mainly aimed at European players. You don't want to just destroy this because they would have to release FM25 in March just before the end of the season and release a 26 just 6 months later for the new season. All in all, it just doesn't make sense. It's much better, and I really think it's the right decisions for them to simply just take their time, include all of the features they wanted to include to really make a revolution as they said they wanted this new Football Manager to be. And it's really, at least at my opinion, you will tell me what's yours in the comment, but it's really the best for them to just simply say, okay, let's not rush this, let's make a quality product and lay the blocks for the next 10 years, because it's not just about this next game, it's literally about the future of the franchise. So they don't really have the right to mess it up. So best solution, they talked about it at length with their publishers, right? It's not just all the stakeholders, there's lots of money involved, right? Everybody, they all talk together. And for once, Cash Grab didn't win. And that's absolutely fantastic because my second story is all about Cash Grab. We will see that later. But, for once, Cash Grab didn't win. I really believe that Sport Interactive made the right decision delaying it. So, just what do you think about this delay? Are you disappointed that there was no Football Manager this year? My team in France is Bordeaux and we're in 4th division. So, yes, I'm very disappointed that I can't, play my fantasy football and have my team win the Champions League. Because that's the only way for my team to win at the moment. Of course, I'm a bit disappointed, but far less disappointed if I had, a really crappy, not finished game. That would have been worse for me. So, really happy about their communication, which actually is very good on top of that, right? Very good statement. No, very, very happy about this story. Tell me what you think in the comment. I would ask my colleagues what they think about Football Manager and soccer in general, but I don't think you guys know very much about that.
Played Little League, that's about it.
It's a bit like fantasy leagues, but with far more, all of the administration that you don't see behind, like you're not just managing your team, you have to manage the finance. Do we get a bigger stadium? Because I was in 4th division, but now because I'm so good and I'm not cheating at all, right? Saving before the games. No, we're in Champions League with my 3,000 people stadium. That doesn't work. You need accreditation. You need to talk to the board to get X or X player to raise the salary and deal with conflicts in in the behind the scene relationship with players and who's in my core group and who's influential in because this in the back room dans le vestiaire. Anyway, it's an extremely complete game. It's very, very fun to play, and I don't want this franchise to be screwed up. Sorry for the bad word, but really be screwed by a disappointed release. I really think it's great for them to just take a step back, finish what they want to do, bring all the innovation they want to do, because there's a lot, right? I think I noted them somewhere, but let me. They were talking about international management. If they released in March, some of the features that wouldn't have come out would have been international management, versus mode, create a club. You can create your own club. That wouldn't have been released, which would have been kind of sad. And they're really ambitious. They want to bring. I read on another thing like a live component. Like whenever you start the game, the latest result of the last weekend would already automatically uploaded into the game. Some really, really, really good things that we can do with today's technology. So, yeah, that's what I think.
So, this is. I have a question. Is this more like a roller coaster tycoon than it would be like a FIFA type game? Like you're not controlling the team, you're controlling.
Neither.
It's not.
Exactly. You're not controlling anything. You're making all the choice leading to the pitch, and then you can either see the results directly or see your players. But you're not controlling anything, right? It's really AI versus AI, and everything counts. Did you put the player at his favorite position? What is his state of form? Has he been sick during the week? Did he train well during the week? Does he play well with the player in front of him? Are they used to the tactics that you use? Because you can't just change your tactic every weekend because your players will get lost, right? They wouldn't know how to play. Every little strategy thing, it's like chess, but on a very big level, right? So no, you don't play like you would play on a FC 25.
Okay.
You're just like, no, I told you on the strategy, you were supposed to go to the goal from the wing. Why do you play in the center? You shouldn't play in the center, you idiot. Basically, you're the coach, on the sideline, insulting your players for not playing the way you rehearsed all week. All week you will say, we want to play this way, this particular way, because I don't know, this team has small players, so they will be bad on the free kick and they will be bad with headers. So let's put all my biggest players to play and score with headers or something like this, right? Strategy all the way. Really cool game.
All right, on that soccer note, let's jump straight into the state of play, Adam.
All right. So supposedly, we don't have any confirmation on this. Sony may be doing their state of play this week. Rumors have said it will be the week of Valentine's Day, which is in, for me, another 3 days, which I guess is 4 days if you are on the other side of the international date line. But it should be coming soon. They are traditionally held in January or February, and it is February, and we did not get one in January, so it's probably a fairly safe bet. We have no idea what kind of games they're going to be talking about. Usually in these things, they do not talk about hardware, so do not be expecting anything on the rumored PlayStation or PSP 2 or PS Vita 2 or anything like that. There are rumors of that floating around. I would not put too much merit into those myself, but we're probably not going to hear that. But there are a few games that did show up last time that we haven't really heard too much of since, so we might be getting a little bit more on some of those. Some of the games that fall into that category would be Hell Is Us, Ballad of Antara, Where Winds Meet, then The Midnight Walk. We also know that Bungie is working on Marathon, and we haven't heard anything from them in a very long time. So we might be getting something on Marathon and Fair Games as well. Fair Games is not being done by Bungie. Wait, I do love you guys. I love you quite a bit. We got Noble Cooper in here, because I said don't get your hopes up, but don't worry about it. We'll get there. Also, Phantom Blade Zero is coming out, I think, relatively soon. So, well, no, never mind. Phantom Blade Zero comes out next year, 2026. So, but we might be getting more of that. And the other two that people really want to hear about are Marvel's Wolverine, which we obviously haven't heard about a lot in a long, long time, and Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet, which is the new Naughty Dog game, which we got that teaser trailer for. But it was all cinematic, and we have zero idea what kind of game it's going to be. So we might be getting something on that. Obviously, other games that we might be seeing something on are Death Stranding 2, On the Beach, and Ghost of 𝙎𝙬, which are coming out this year and are huge. So those are the ones that people are really going to be probably looking out for, along with a few others, Sword of the Sea, Wonder Stop, and a few others out there. So these are games that we were likely to see, or at least a lot of people want to see. So do expect something on at least some of those titles, if not all of them. Personally, I was looking through, like, what are some games that if I could have my dream lineup for State of Play? I know Korean always loves to get into speculation and all that, and I'm not a big fan of it, but I knew that he would like to hear, Adam, if you could choose any games to hear about in State of Play, what would they be? And obviously new IPs. I would love to get some new IPs, which you can't predict because they're new, right? But IPs that we know may or may not exist, or well, IPs that we know exist, but may or may not be, you know, having something going forward. Looking at those, I do have a few that I would like to see. Horizon multiplayer game. Obviously, they were working on, some people were calling it an MMO, other people were calling it kind of a multiplayer game similar to maybe Helldivers or something like that. We do know that Sony recently went through and they were like, yeah, all these live service games, yeah, that's out the door. We're not doing that anymore. That didn't work out so well. That was the old guard and they're gone now. However, the Horizon game actually was not on the list of canceled live games, so that one might still be up. So I would love to see something on that, especially given, what was that, something of Miriam or Miritum, the other one, the Horizon at Home game that we talked about a few weeks and weeks back. It seems very recent to me because it was only a few episodes ago for me, but I've been gone for weeks and weeks, so it's still fresh in my mind. But I would love to hear about the Horizon multiplayer game. And speaking of Guerrilla, I would love to hear about a new Killzone, but I am not holding my breath on that. I don't think we're going to be getting a new Killzone anytime soon, but I would love to hear about a new Killzone. And while we're on it, Resistance. I never actually played any of the Resistance games. I did play, I think there was a demo for one of them once. I played that. But I know a lot of people would love to see Resistance come back. Also, Fumito Ueda, I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly. If you don't know who he is, he's the guy behind Ico, Shadow of the Colossus, The Last Guardian. Oh yeah, Okami 2 being announced. Yeah, I would love to see more Okami 2. But yeah, Fumito Ueda, his Project Robot. So he has a new game. Obviously, Team Ico was disbanded, but we saw a little teaser for his new game called Project Robot, which just looked like a little dude running around and climbing on what looked like a Colossus's head and then flying off. I have no idea what's going on there. Nobody has any idea what's going on there, but we would love to see more. I can guarantee you that. Like Noble Cooper mentioned, Okami 2. He would also like God Hand 2. I didn't play the original God Hand, so I don't know too much about that one. But hey, you know what? If other people want it, I want it for you. Other games, Pragmata, that game was mentioned like a long time ago, and it keeps getting delayed, and every now and then it pops up, hey, look, this thing still exists. So maybe getting some more definitive information on that. I think it was the last State of Play where they kind of did a little clip of that or something else. And speaking of games that seem like they've kind of disappeared but haven't 100%, Little Devil Inside, I'm still holding out hope for that. That was supposed to be a PS5 launch game, and then it was like, oh no, it doesn't exist. And then they came back, what was it, like last year, and they're like, oh no, it does still exist. So I would love to see that. Also, on a personal note, I would love to see Soul Sacrifice Remastered coming out. In my personal opinion, the trifecta of PlayStation Vita games were Gravity Rush, Freedom Wars, and Soul Sacrifice. Gravity Rush got a remaster, and then it got a sequel. Freedom Wars recently got a remaster, so I would love to see a sequel announced for that as well. And then Soul Sacrifice, for me, is the other corner of that triangle, or the other side, depending on how you look at triangles. And I would love to see a Soul Sacrifice remastered, and hopefully a sequel someday in the future. I would really love to see that. So those are my big hopes for what we see at the PlayStation State of Play. I don't think we'll get any of those. Those are hopes. I guarantee you we're going to see something with Ghost of 𝙎𝙬 and Death Stranding 2, though, at the minimum. So hopefully we'll be getting some of that. I don't know. You guys probably aren't as excited because you don't play PlayStation quite as much as I do, but they do seem to be pushing a bit more into PC. So, I mean, do either of you two have any games that you'd like to see, or... I think Antoine plays a little more PlayStation than Korean.
I got a PS5 recently, right, for the kids at Christmas. So yes, I want to see some good game. Of course, Ghost of Yotei, because I did Tsushima and it was fantastic. I saw last month that Sega refreshed the trademark, the licensing for Skies of Arcadia. So I'd love to see a Skies of Arcadia remake. That would be fantastic. I'm very a Sega person when it comes to video games. I was thinking some new Valkyria Chronicle 5. That's yes, that would be absolutely amazing. I'm just daydreaming. Okay, right? Well, I'm just daydreaming. But if anything like this would drop, I would. Thank you very much. Yeah, exactly. I would be absolutely fantastic. I'm kind of turning off a kind of a Sega fanboy. You know, like I was a Square fanboy when I was a kid. Now it's more like Sega because they're really bangers, really. So yeah, that's what I want to see.
Yeah. Yeah, and then of course everybody else here in the comments, let us know what you want to see. So I want to know what everybody wants to see, and I want all of our games to come. I want all of our gaming dreams to come true. Yeah, no, Joe Cooper's not commenting. You just happen to have that in the back. Valkyria Chronicles is one of my favorite franchises. So yes, I do. I also have a tiny little Hoffman. I don't know if you can see it, but he's right there.
I mean, that's been Adam's background. If you go back to all the videos, it's been there for, I think, since we started doing the show. And maybe not since we started doing the show, but I mean, that background has been there at least for like 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a couple franchises that I will pre-order sight unseen. You just say the name and my money's there. And Valkyria is one of them.
Got it. All right, so with that being said, we jump into my third story that I have not prepared for, but I'm going to rely on Antoine for this because, because I didn't prepare for it, and I thought Antoine was going to talk about Civilization 7 because that's all in the news. So Civilization 7 came out, and a little bit to my surprise, I thought more people would like it, but I think it kind of follows the thing I've seen. Like a lot of existing franchises have tried to sort of say, let's do something different, right? And I've been playing Orcs Must Die, and Orcs Must Die is very much in the same boat as Civ 7. Mixed reviews, despite I'm enjoying it, but it is a total departure from the original formula. And that is the criticism you see in the Steam reviews, right? And Civ 7 seems to be the same. And Antoine, do you want to tell us what's the difference between Civ 7 and Civ 6 and why is it so different? Because I could definitely not explain that.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I haven't reviewed this topic in quite a while, but I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to play. Because for me, I always played Civilization as, and it's the same from Civ 1 to Civ 6. Yeah, exactly, to Civ 6. That you start with a civilization with an undying immortal leader, right? Like for the French, it has been Bonaparte or whatever, right? You know all of your leaders. And that's it. You have one nation you identify with. You have one hero or leader that has a very specific way to play, whether it is business, religion, culture, war, science, you know, and usually you adapt your gameplay to the rest and how you want to play. What makes you have fun in Civilization? That's really what works. And in this Civ 7, there's one thing which I really hate very, very much, is you can choose your leader even if it's not related to the nation you start with. For instance, I was watching some YouTuber, and honestly, I can't remember his name, very sorry about this, but a guy who plays Civilization as his main YouTube channel, right? And he got the key in advance, and he was playing, so he took General Lafayette, so a Frenchman, right? With starting Civilization, the Romans. End of the first age, I think there's only 3 age compared to the 7 or 8 you had before. End of the first age, you can carry over civics or perks from your civilization into the next age, because the big thing is that first age, you were playing the Romans, it's finished, you have to switch to another civilization. So it would make I think they have this thing where you can start with, I don't know, maybe the Egyptian would become the Greek, which becomes the Romans, which historically makes sense. But in this case, the guy was really playing with stats in mind, like an Excel file, right? So he was saying, I need to take Lafayette because he has this bonus which works super well with the Romans. And at the end of First Age, basically his Roman legion had more powers than a modern era tank. Just to tell you how good this guy was, right? And after this, he moved on to, I think, Mongolians, or really civilization which has nothing to do with each other. And that, for me, is exactly the same as when you're looking at a movie and some element of the movie completely to take you out of it. For me, it doesn't work at all. I don't know about the gameplay. I'm sure the visuals are amazing. The gameplay must be amazing. I'm sure a lot of things must be amazing. But for me, just this statement, the base of this civilization just doesn't work for me, which is why I'm not going to play it. As well as remembering that's a truth for every civilization game on the franchise. It never does well at first because you know that a civilization is gonna release civilization packs at $6, $7, $10 a pack, right? It's gonna release 20 of them and it's gonna cash grab on this. After some time, they're gonna release scenarios to have fun, to have less of a sandboxy game. You're gonna have specific scenarios to play, and in 2 years, you're gonna have some DLC which gonna add some much needed. Usually, it's very much needed gameplay gimmicks, let's say, which is why you always have to wait a couple of years before the first DLC come in, and then it starts getting good because also you start getting deals. You can get the base game with DLC at X% off, things like this. So myself, I would never play a civilization game right on the start, because the previous one are still very fun to play, and you can still buy cheaper packs and cheaper scenario and things like this on the previous Civ. So that's what I would recommend. But yeah, for me, so that's my take on this one. I just don't like the base things that they did with this game. I understand, as you said, that they need to reinvent themselves. For me, that's not the way to do it. Like it's a big jigsaw, and you can put the puzzle pieces everywhere you want, and I don't like this because it's sandboxy enough. You don't have to mix your civilization together, especially when they have nothing to do with each other. So again, that's something that I recall from when I watched and I prepared this story 3 to 4 months ago, something like this. So if you have played Civ 7 and you liked it and I'm completely out of the mark, please tell me, because I really like this franchise. It's like Total War, right? I really like the franchise and I don't want to hate it. But this base setting, I just can't agree with. And I'm not, and so many games to play, and it's still a $90 game, something like this, right? In Canadian. So no, thank you. No, thank you very much. But if you can convince me that, hey, here's a challenge, right? Super big challenge. Challenge is try to make me want to play it. Tough challenge. I'm telling you that right off the bat, I don't want to. So if you can make, I don't know, I don't have any reward in mind, but if you can make me buy the game, you can consider yourself a very, very good politician because you would come from very far.
Okay, I understand where you're coming from. I would have bought it if I wasn't playing Avowed, and I totally forgot Civ 7 and Avowed are literally coming out like a week after each other. But I looked at it, I'm like, it's kind of like, I feel like this game represents how history has changed, because I remember spending a lot of time studying history when we were growing up as kids. I don't know, Adam and you can speak to that, right? But I feel like kids these days, even in Taiwan, and Chinese history is really important as well as Taiwanese history, but it's not like I would imagine Adam's in-laws, when they learned history, or Adam's wife who studied history when she was growing up, right? And even now, kids in South Africa who are learning, British, we spend so much time learning British history, being an ex-colony, right? or Indian or American or Canadian history or Commonwealth history. But I feel like Civ being based on all this historical stuff always did it a disservice, because again, the new generation, people born in the 2010s, 2015s are like, I don't know anything about this. This doesn't connect with me, right? Like, why should I care? So I think this moving into this direction is a step to say, okay, let's associate this historical eras or peoples or countries or whatever it's called, right, with something interesting like bonuses or this, and that's how we take civilization forward. Whether that's going to be a winning formula or not is something we're going to figure out. But I know the director did give a quote to the press. He's like, yes, we know a lot of the OG Civ people like Antoine are not going to play this, but we're going to make an effort to convince them, to persuade them, to say, hey, give this a chance. You might actually like the game. So I have a feeling. I don't even think we need to, win or defeat Antoine's challenge. I believe Antoine will play Civ 7 within the next 12 months. So before Feb 11th, 2026, you heard it right here live on Village Gaming, Antoine is going to play Civ 7. I would take a bet on that.
Even if I were to like it, I wouldn't play a Civ without the first or second DLC. Because there's always, I think it was in Civ 6 that the first or second DLC added, the storm weather, which added, some great gameplay, or the UN, that's what I think, I refresh my memory, guys, but I'm pretty sure that some of the gimmicks of Civ 5 didn't make Civ 6, which everybody was like, oh, come on, like the United Nations stuff, why it's not there? And then they had to add it with the first DLC, and it's kind of, we have to please the players, otherwise they just don't buy the game. And yeah, no, okay, I'm taking the bet. By this time next year, I will not have touched. Very certainly, I would have looked at the news of it, but I would have not touched it unless it comes free on the Game Pass. That might be the exception. But even like this, I don't think I would lose my time on it, because it's an extremely lengthy game. Like you start it and you play 1,000 hours on it, and because of this show, right, I don't really have time to play that much on a specific game. So no, honestly, it's really a losing bet. But okay, let's take the bets. We'll have to honestly find a reward for people if I do that.
No worries. All right, and let's move on to the last two stories of today. So let's jump into Adam, because Adam switched his headset for a reason he can tell us about.
Yeah, I did switch my headset, and the reason for that is because my computer gave me a notification saying, "Oh, your this USB device has malfunctioned and is not working."
Oh no!
So, I'm gonna have to fiddle with that another time. Thankfully, I have a backup. So if my voice changes a little bit, now you know why. It's because I was on this mic thing here, and now for whatever reason, it malfunctioned and no longer wishes to work with me. So that aside for now, and we're gonna go back to the ye old headset. So because I tried unplugging it and plugging it back in. So yeah, USB connections are, I don't know why. I'm running out of USB ports on my PC. It is a very big problem. I have so many things hooked up into USBs. I got my external drive that if I need to swap videos over. Now I got the mic, headset. I got this Stream Deck over here. What else do I have? I have a bunch of stuff running out of. It is a problem. Yes, it's working. We have chat. Chat is still up. I don't know why Ron can't see it. I can see it. Anyway, where was I? Yes, I'm going to be talking about Kadokawa and Sony, because, as you know, Sony and Kadokawa were in deals quite a while ago, and they've sorted them out. And so the deal was, some people were thinking that Sony was going to buy out Kadokawa, but they're not. They have only acquired a controlling stake in Kadokawa. And part of that deal is that going forward, Sony is going to be publishing all Kadokawa games. Now, for most of you, that does mean From Software. And that's wonderful news for me. I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who are very upset and are a little bit worried. I will talk about that in a while. But it is definitely a huge boon for me, not because I'm a fan, but because Bandai Namco keeps stabbing me in the back every single time From Software releases a game. And not even just them. I have recently had some big issues with Sin Duality, trying to get that to work. So finally got it all sorted. But again, that was a Bandai Namco game. I do not think they are Kadokawa. Maybe they are. Kadokawa. They are. Maybe they aren't. I'm not quite sure. That is neither here nor there. I will make a video on that if I have time, because that is a whole story. But yeah, going forward, any From Software games or Kadokawa games of any kind are going to be published by Sony. However, that does not mean that they are going to be exclusive. Sony is not buying Kadokawa, even though they have the majority stake. That is still only 10% of the company. So 90% of the company is still not owned by Sony. So yeah, maybe they will get a few exclusives, and similar to what we had with Bloodborne before. For instance, they got Bloodborne. It wasn't exclusive to Sony. But yeah, it does not look like they are planning, Elden Ring, Night Rain, that is still going to be published by Bandai Namco. So but we'll neither here nor there. But yeah, other games going forward are going to be published by Sony, so you'll still see them on Xbox, you'll still see them on PC, but they're going to have a little Sony logo thing at the beginning. So yeah, and because Sony doesn't own them, you probably aren't going to be Sony sign-in thing that has been all the rage. If you noticed, in this past week, there was I think it was a 13-hour outage of the Sony, what do you call it? PSN. PSN was down for about 13 hours. It is very inconvenient, especially if you wanted to play online games. Not all online games are actually affected by that. If you were playing Final Fantasy 14, because they do it through their own thing, you could actually still play that. So you were not cut out. And if you were looking forward to the Monster Hunter World, this is a bit off topic, but if you were looking forward to Monster Hunter World and you couldn't play, they are extending that because of the Sony outage. So thank you, Capcom, for being a much better company than Bandai Namco, which in theory I should love, because I love Bandai, Gundam, obviously. I love Namco. They had some great games back in the PlayStation era, but they're like that high school couple that, they're cool on their own, but when they get together, they're just awful. So whenever they got together, apparently things went downhill. But yeah, you can still play that. They are extending Hunter Y. Not a demo, but beta. But anyway, back to being on topic. I know I'm all over the place today, and I'm sorry for that, but I'm padding out for time. Sony and Kadokawa, they do plan to release 9,000 new licenses by 2027. So it looks like we're going to be getting a lot of new stuff in the next year. Now, granted, most of those licenses are probably renewals of old. So we're not getting 9,000 new games. That would be insane. Does look like Bloodborne is not among them. People were hoping that I think it was Blue Point was going to be doing the Bloodborne remake, but they are not. Wondering why. It was it the old Sony, one of the higher ups. He was saying Miyazaki, the guy who runs From Software, Bloodborne is very close to his heart, and he basically is. His theory is that he doesn't want anybody else working on it. So if we do a remake, I want to do it myself to make sure it's done right. Want something done, do it yourself. So that's why we're not getting a Blood time soon. But yeah, other than that, that's the news. What's going on there? TLDR. Sony has a majority stake in Kadokawa. It's only 10%, but part of that deal is Sony is going to be publishing all their games going forward. That does not mean exclusivity. It just means that Sony's name is going to be on the label.
All right. We're actually on time for all the stories except this one. You're at 4.5 minutes, which is fine because it's not going to make the cut for this week anyway. So we're all good.
Oh, okay.
Well, you
So
could
there's
add
a quality
comments.
seal now.
I could. I mean, Antoine, do you want to comment on anything?
Not really. Just saying that Sega on the label is really a quality seal these days. So It's really good. But yeah.
The pressure. All right, Antoine, run us off for today.
Okay, no pressure there. Welcome. A month ago, I was telling you how excited I was for the new Sniper Elite game coming, which came, sorry, end of January. And now it's time for its review. So make sure to stay because that's my first live review, on this show of a game. And for my first one, there's gonna be a lot of trash talk. So stay until the end, I'm going to talk about the several parts of the game, and I'm going to give you a very nice marks at the end. So first, basics. Sniper Elite Resistance came out on the PS4, PS5, Xbox, Steam, Game Pass, etc., etc. It's developed as usual by Rebellion, Studio, and it comes 3 years after Sniper Elite 5, 3 years. Remember that I'm going to be important. For the setting, you play an SOC agent, so not as usual, you're not playing like Mr. Furber. This time you play 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙥𝙦.
Uh-oh.
I first find at the end of the game, really and you join the French resistance, which I don't know, maybe it's the voice actors, it's real terrible. Anyway, let's talk about it later. Tout Nazi super wake punch which can endanger D-Day. Very, very basic story. And this story runs in parallel of Sniper Elite 5, which is a really lazy way to say, yeah, we just reuse the same Asura engine and the same assets and the same everything from previous game. So I can't remember the number of missions there was in the previous game, but I think we are not far from where it was before. This game has 9 missions, which include a tutorial map, which will be recycled for Mission 3, and Mission 9, which is the usual just long shot to the bad guy, so it's not a map. So all in all, you have 7 maps, and we'll talk about the maps later again. So if you have never played the game, right, you play a British agent in the Second World War, and you need, the whole point of Sniper Elite is to work your way through your objective of your kill target, while really carefully planning. Usually it's huge maps, so you have way different way to achieve your objective. And of course, because it's Sniper Elite, you need to snipe your way through the bloody soldier which block your path. But the whole point of this game should be to be sniping, to be stealthy, to be sneaky, and achieve your objective, because as much as the game is trying to make you think about it, you're not supposed to be a one-man army. And so just as a way for you to, if you play Hitman, imagine that it's Hitman, but with no subtlety whatsoever, because you're in a war zone, so you're not penalized for killing any NPC on the way. So that's basically it. So each mission includes a lot of collectibles, which are always the same in the games, but personal letter, confidential documents, which unlock sometimes side objectives, workbench to customize your weapons, infiltration points to add replayability to your missions, so there's usually 2 per maps, hidden items, and the 3 stone Nazi, like the Nazi stone eagle, to find and destroy in a map. Additionally to that, you will also have a traditional kill target, which usually add a little bit of extra gameplay, because you need to kill it in a certain way. It also brings... Oh, what? You lost me?
For a second.
Oh, okay. I keep going then?
Go on.
You good? Okay, fair enough. It also brings back the invasion mode, which came with Sniper Elite 5. Invasion mode, which extremely similar to Elden Ring as a reference, right? You invade someone else's gameplay game. You will play a Nazi sniper, a 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙥𝙦, which if you watch Pacific Rim, you will know that it's hunter in German. Yeah. Yes, Noble Cooper, you can fire a rifle bullet right through a soldier testicles. Absolutely, that's one of the gimmick of this game. So yes, when I didn't mention it, but one of the main attraction or gimmick of this game is that when you shoot someone, you're rewarded with an X-ray slow kill cam with different organs, including testicles. Apparently, shooting someone in the testicles is fatal in this game. But so, if you heard everything I say at this stage, if you have played Sniper Elite 5, you're gonna say, okay, so what's new? Because everything you stated is exactly like the previous game. So there is new stuff. Yes, there is. Bugs. Many bugs. Lots of bugs. Which is horrible because this game, and you will, if you check a bit the comments, everybody's gonna say it's no more than DLC, and I completely agree with this. So considering it's the same game, same engine, mostly same reused assets, how can you have so many bugs? I mean, this game is easy. The AI on the soldiers are kind of really stupid. The most powerful enemies will be ladders and stairs. Like invisible ladders, which makes you unable to escape during a tense situation or things like this. Bugs are gonna ruin your gameplay. If you have played the map with a vineyard, you know that your guild target you need to kill with poisoning, and the glass of water that you need to poison is completely bugged as hell. I needed to redo the mission 5 times, not kidding, to get the glass unbugged. And tried several things. I tried to wait through the animations, through the guys talking to his soldier. I was just like waving incense in front of my keyboard saying, I'll try to work this time. It was horrible. Overall, we talked about the maps. The maps seems, and from the review, I think it's not just my impression, that's smaller, much smaller than the previous games. It doesn't take much hours to finish the game. And when I was saying before the map were bigger and gave you a lot more option to finish your mission quite stealthily, in this game, as much as I could, in the end, it just finished in a straight-up assault. You just wait in the confined environment, waiting for the soldiers to come, duck in a row, and just shoot them as they come. That very, very boring, to be honest. So for a game called Sniper Elite, it's a miss. And yes, it's a pun and it's completely intended. So I was expecting a lot from this game, especially that it's called Resistance. So I know that it's not something which come up in usual war game, right, where you play the Americans on D-Day or things like this. Here you are playing with the French resistance, which was a massive thing, right, during the World War. We never talked about resistance, so I thought, hey, maybe you can fill that gap. Resistance should be ambushing soldier, because you have a small unit, ambushing an enemy unit, or sabotaging something, a railway or something. No, no, it's exactly the same game as before. The Resistance is just a way to say, that's just this, we needed a name, to have a very lambda story. Let's just call it like this. So the story is very linear. It offers no thrills whatsoever, and it's a catastrophe because Sniper Elite has always been, and I think Korean played it as well, a very good series. Yes, the graphics are completely outdated, and when it was Sniper Elite 5, it was okay because it was outdated, but the gameplay and everything, it really make up for it. On this one, because this game is extremely boring and bugged and everything, well, graphic come into play as well. It's not beautiful. It's like you're playing something back from 2015, and I think I'm pretty generous saying this. Nothing is going well in this game. So if it was a $20 DLC to Sniper Elite 5, I would have said it's a good 13, maybe 14 out of 20 for the effort of adding content to an excellent game. But here, you play a standalone $65 game if you buy it on Steam. Canadian, of course. Let me just remind you that. So that's nothing but a shameful cash grab. And what's worse than the cash grab for me is that this, as I said, was a really good IP. So it really hurts a good IP to make such a crappy game, because it is a crappy game. Don't make any assumption about maybe you're just a bit sour or anything. No. I'm not just being salty. It is a bad game. So I'm gonna give it a generous 8 out of 20. And a clear warning that even I got it for free on Game Pass, I just can't recommend for you to play it. Absolutely not. Do not play it, because if you never play a Sniper Elite game, play 4, play 5, that's a great game. Even 3, like it's still very good. If you played Sniper Elite 5, do not buy this game, because the only thing you're gonna do by playing this game is tarnish the whole IP, and you will not want to buy a future Sniper Elite 6. So the best you can do is just forget this game exists. Because even, you say, yeah, even if I got it for free, I'm still disappointed. It's exactly that. Sniper Elite Resistance is not a good game. Do not play it. I would not recommend. So, yeah, very sorry. I know that Korean played 5, maybe 4 as well, that you enjoyed it, but you said that because of all the games coming out, you didn't want it to play it. Well, there it is. Do not play it. And it's much better for you to maybe in a few years get a Sniper Elite 6, which will be good, but Rebellion really screwed it up. And you can see in the reviews, it's mixed. I'm actually very surprised it's not worse. Because when you say Civ, I would rather play a Civ 7 than a Sniper Elite Resistance. And you heard just before what I feel about Civ 7, just to tell you how bad it is. So when I say an 8 is generous, it is. It's very generous. And maybe because it's my first review on this channel of a game like this, so that's why I wanted to be generous. So yeah, if you have any comments, please go ahead, prove me wrong if you want, argue with me. You can maybe convince me on Civ 7. On this one, there's no way. But I'm gonna say one thing, is that I really busted my ass to find all the collectibles. So I'm gonna try to make some video about where to find these collectibles. Even if I know IGN did it and lots of other players did it, I really played without looking at any, IGN or anything. So I'm just gonna make my video anyway. And I know it's gonna be badly assembled and badly voiced over and everything. I don't care. I suffered for it, so I'm gonna do it. So please watch and share. See, now I'm threatening people. Watch and share and comment and put a thumb up because I busted my ass for you. Yeah, not a good way to go, but yeah, a good way to end the show for today.
All right, very quickly, I need 2 short videos. So 30 seconds or less, or at max 60. We haven't done these in a while, so I'll let Adam have the first one since Antoine can take a break after his video review. Adam, what is a rare or unusual game setting that you'd like to talk about?
Rare, unusual game setting.
Yes. I think, and Antoine, your question is going to be, how do you cope with gaming and adulting? So your best possible answer.
Okay. A rare game setting. You back in the day, like for instance, when you were playing GoldenEye or Perfect Dark, you could unlock these kind of special game modes like paintball mode. Big Head mode was a setting that was in all those old games. We don't have those anymore. Why don't we bring back, weird, wacky game settings like Big Head mode or Big Hand mode or Big Gun mode and stuff like that? We need more of those. We need more of those in our games today.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, Antoine, all yours.
Can you repeat your question? Sorry. How do you cope game and adulting?
Yes, how do you cope with gaming and adulting from Reddit?
That really depends at what stage you're in your life, because you can be adult, single, and play all day long. You can just add a baby, and if you're an addict gamer like me, I haven't played in nearly 10 years because baby just takes that much space, right? And when your kids start getting independent and old and stuff, you can play with them, like I'm doing with my kid playing Palworld. So really depends on the stage of life you are. The best would be to have a spouse who is happy letting you enjoying your hobby. That really helps as well. Playing games is not just for kids. You can be an adult and play games. So remind everyone of this. And I think I'm already too long for a short, so I'm gonna stay here.
No, that's good. That's still, you're still under a minute, so we're perfect. Thank you, guys. And thank everyone else for tuning in as always. We're glad to be back. I'm glad to be back with these guys, that everyone's here and healthy. So stay tuned for next week. We're going to have more stories. I will be streaming Avowed for the first time, either on our channel or either on my channel. I haven't decided yet, but I have set up OBS for streaming once again. And so stay tuned for that. I'm excited about the game. I'm actually going to consider buying the premium collector's edition just to get the art and stuff. And then I'll give whichever one of these guys wants the code, I'll give that to them and they can start playing as well if they want.
Or we can make it a reward for the viewers.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea as well. Yeah, good idea. Antoine, this is why he works for for those Fortune 500 companies, That's got that special thinking right there. All right, thanks as always, guys, and then we will see you guys next week, same time, same place, for more news, more games, and more other things in between.
Bye-bye.